Are you wondering how to get healing energy? Well, today we have an incredible discussion to talk about. We are going to be talking about Reiki, recalibration, energy healing. And today we're going to be talking with Barb. And Barb, tell me how to say your last name, and then we'll know better.
For all our Canadian listeners, it's Zugec.
Zugec. Okay,
right.
Very good. All right, wonderful. Well, welcome, Barb. So excited to be able to speak with you. And Dana is going to just start off with asking some questions. Go ahead, Dana.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. So happy that you're here. Hi, Barb. It's so nice to meet you. I know we met about 15 minutes ago, but we're talking about all things healing today.
Yes.
I'm an advocate on vitamins and healing health and natural health, and I think recalibration, what an interesting word that is as far as I'm concerned. So tell us a little bit and give us a brief description of what it is that you do.
I'm a student. I am on a journey of learning, and I have been there for, I'm gonna say, from the day that I was born. However, the big lesson for me came back 25 years ago in January of 1997, when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I had two little boys then, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not gonna be at their weddings. I'm not gonna meet ever their girlfriends. I just saw it as the end of my life. I was thinking about doing recordings for their wedding days that they would read or give them messages. But then once I got over the initial shock, then it's like, okay, what have I done to create this? I didn't have anyone to blame. There is nobody to blame. And I wasn't, well, maybe I was blaming myself a little bit, but my purpose became to learn as much as I possibly can about what I should be doing and shouldn't be doing to make sure that it never comes back again. So through all kinds of trials and errors, I stumbled onto a Reiki energy at a local pharmacy on a Friday night, and there was a woman coming in the following day, Saturday morning at 8 o'clock, to teach Reiki. And I'm like, what's Reiki? But I took the card home, and on my way home, I stopped at the bank that was open at 8 o'clock at night, that night, took out the money to pay for it. And there I was the following morning at that pharmacy to learn what Reiki is. So I signed up for I don't know how much I paid for it, but I signed up for a course, and I have no idea what the heck I'm signing up for. How synchronistic is that, right?
I think that's divinely guided, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And so I was blown away when I put my hands over the top of a fruit bowl, and I could feel energy from the fruit, and I'm like, oh my God. So that was basically the beginning of my long journey. Recalibration came actually in 2013. So 2012, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but 2012 was the cutoff line between the old energy and the new energy on Earth. So Earth became an infant in 2013, or after December 21, 2012. Okay, so the winter solstice was the cutoff point, and it's been building for quite a few years up to that point. But that was basically when the humanity said, okay, we are going to stay and not destroy the earth as it had been predicted. So here I am, again, a month later, on January 21, I am on my email, going through emails, and I got this email from Adam out in BC, who had healed his mom from some debilitating disease. And on the bottom there was another name. And I'm like, oh, who are you? Click on him. And I pick up his book, Healing, Energy Healing, Heal Yourself, Heal Others, Heal Yourself is basically the name, but the recalibration word was in the book. And I buy the book on my audio. I start reading the book. And as I'm reading the book, I'm feeling ants going through my hands. I'm feeling
Ants?
that's the only energy
Like
going through.
crawling ants.
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
Yes. It's sorry for my English.
No worries.
But I'm like, what the heck? I feel energy. I turn the book off. The energy is gone. I turn it on. It's back. And I'm like, this is weird. This is really weird.
Mhm.
So I sent them an email and I said, I'm feeling energy going through my hands and through my body while I'm reading your book. Like, what's that about? And they're like, you're not the first one. Enjoy it. Oh,
That's okay. Just keep talking. We can hear you.
yes, somebody's trying to get hold of me. Anyways, send to voicemail. Maybe that's what I'll do. Okay. Okay, here I am. So they said, enjoy it. But Eric Pearl is the head of this recalibration energy healing, was coming to Toronto in November of that year. Well, I got right online and signed up for a 3-day workshop at a hotel in Toronto. I got to learn this. What is this, right? I'd been doing Reiki, over the years, and I wasn't, nothing against Reiki, whoever is listening, but I wasn't getting the results that I was looking for. Maybe I just wasn't doing it right. I don't know. But anyways, so like, I got to learn this. And so I went to the training in Toronto. And that year, my husband and I traveled to Alberta to visit with our son and his wife. And his wife's sister walks into the house on Christmas Eve and talks about a shoulder issue. And I'm like, I've just learned a new energy I'm playing with. Would you like to try it? Well, her husband gave me the dirtiest look he could muster.
I've had those looks.
Yes. But the following day, they came and to their parents' house where we were all staying. And the men went to church. The women stayed home cooking dinner. And she says, let's go do this energy that you were talking about. So we go into one of the bedrooms upstairs and she says, Barb, the shoulder issue, yeah, it bothers me. But do you think you could do something about me having a baby? I've been trying to have a baby for 10 years. I've had 3 in vitro fertilizations and I have still not gotten pregnant. And I'm like, I'm not in charge of what this energy does, hon. I'll do what I can, but I can't promise you anything, right? Well, lo and behold, the following November, she had her little princess, Celia. So I'm like, okay, this works. And so 2013 was the year of Earth's recalibration. So getting rid of the old, and attuning to the new way of living. And I'm like, okay, this is my new way of living. And so I'm going to call my energy healing recalibration energy healing. And that's how that came about.
That excellent story. So Heather, I know you had an experience. Is there something you'd like to share with us on that?
Yes, I did. It was pretty magnetic. I was introduced to Barb from my mentor, Jesse, who had been teaching me how to do meditations for over a year now. And so anyways, she let me know about Barb. And so Barb, I think it was the next day, that's what it was, something like that, that Barb texted me. And then later on that day, we had a session. And it was like kismet, I guess is the word, that we had met in prior lives or something like that. Our energies were familiar. And Barb shared her story. And then she said, I'd like to do a session with you. Do you have time? And I said, yes, let's do a session. And through that session, it was fascinating. Barb was just able to just explain things to me and talk to me. It was very easy and very soothing. And then she said, okay, now get up. And okay, so I got up and my body just went into a shake when I got up. And then just before my bottom touched my chair that I'm in now, I felt a shift. And it was just incredible. Now, what Barb had said is that you don't need healing. You don't need balancing yourself, but what you want and you're going to make a change in is humanity, because she said there's self and then there's your outer core. I don't know if I'm saying that right, Barb.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Okay.
Yes.
But and you're going to bring harmony to humanity, and it was, that's it, and that's what we talked about earlier that day too, Dana, you and I.
So you didn't have any like health issue per se, like there was nothing going on in the body that needed to be recalibrated. You just had a healing session of spirit almost.
That's it.
Have I got that right?
Yeah, it was just incredible. So I've been doing good with my health. So
So I have a question then, Barb. So let's just say, so I know that if I'm having my own personal things in life and what have you, I can still sit down and do a reading. I can still kind of move my whole self aside and say, you know what, I'm here to do a job. This is about the person that I'm, working with right now. Do you feel like how you're still able to kind of put your own self aside to be able to heal others? Do you have that ability to be able to do that? It's a separate, do you understand the question that I'm asking?
Yes, separate myself from the, yes.
From the healing.
Yes, I seem to be able to, but the huge thing with this energy healing that I took in 2013, and then another one just fell into my lap 3-4 weeks ago that I was actually doing with Heather. Okay, they all say heal others
and heal thyself.
Heal yourself. Okay, so I am there so I'll wake up at 3:00 at night during, when we're supposed to be sleeping. I'll wake up and not falling right back to sleep. And I'm like, what's that all about? Okay, why don't I do a healing on my cousin in Germany? I will do a healing on my cousin in Germany. And during doing her healing, I'll fall back to sleep. Okay, so again, these are the new energies. Okay, the more you give out, 3 times comes back to you.
And does your cousin ever call in the morning after you've given her a healing?
We talk, not in the morning, because there's a 6 hours difference, right? And I usually call her, so we have it set that I would call her at 3 o'clock our time, which is 9 o'clock her time. She's in bed by then and ready to listen to anything that I have to say or do. And she's the only, actually, she's the only person in my family, in my extended family, that believes in energy. And she's like, I just love it. Every time you do it, I just love it. So yeah, I'll pick anybody. Pick anybody and get the permission from their soul. So you know about that, I'm sure. And as long as but there are people that won't give me permission, and it's like, okay, no problem, we'll see you later, we'll see you in a couple of hours, right? And I go back and then I get it. I go back and I'll ask a question. So will this person be ready in 2 hours? And the answer is yes. Okay, I'll see you in 2 hours and we'll do a healing in 2 hours.
So do you feel like you have a specialty then, Barb?
Well, I I wouldn't say that I have a specialty. I have a healing ability, but we all have it.
Of course.
We all have this ability. It's finding a way to put yourself through that channel, whatever that is for each and every other person, right? And one thing that I do have is I do not like to follow rules.
Me neither.
I don't like to follow rules. So so this morning while I was having my coffee, I got a message yesterday from a friend out west that she just had her mom taken into the hospital. Keep her in my prayers. So I went to ask if she's still around with us, and I got an answer that she's still alive. And so now I needed to do a fast healing on her, right? And so I skipped a lot of preparation, got into my channel, and I sent her healing energy. Now I'll have to wait. They're 3 hours behind, right? So I'll have to wait to hear from her daughter to see how she's doing, if it's making any difference. But I'm just finding that it's making a difference in people's lives, even if it's just the acceptance of what's there. Sometimes the healing is just us accepting what we've got and loving that part of us that is sick. Okay, and again, that's something new. Reiki was teaching me to throw the
energy.
Pardon me?
Transfer the energy.
Right, but also to take the bad stuff and throw it in the garbage, to get rid of it. The new energy is teaching me to accept it, to love it, and transmute it with love. Don't get rid of the bad part of yourself, because you can't. It's still there. You got to deal with it. Transmute it with love.
So I find it interesting that when you actually look at a cancer cell in a microscope, it's actually iridescent. It's almost like a reflective surface almost, and it's got all different colors to it. It's actually quite beautiful when you actually look at a cancer cell in a microscope, and you think, how can something so beautiful be so deadly in a lot of ways, right? But then you also think of the ocean. You look at the ocean and you think, how beautiful, but it'll take you out in a heartbeat. You know, it's one of those things. So I think you're absolutely onto something when you say love what it is you see, to keep it in its beauty, in whatever sense it comes in.
Right.
Right.
And Barb, sorry to interrupt, but that's what you did with yourself, was you healed yourself when you had breast cancer.
Yes.
Right?
Well, my journey was in no way an easy one. I mean, in the meantime, I I ended up on a trip back home in 2008, and basically it started here. I had a stroke. And it started before I left Canada, but I didn't know what was going on with me. But I was aimlessly walking through the airport looking for a gate where I'm supposed to go. And the only reason I knew where I needed to go was by seeing people from my hometown going on the same plane. And I'm saying, okay, this is where I need to be. I make it. So long story short, I end up vomiting on the plane, but I made it to Croatia with no problem, basically, more or less. I made it there. I hugged my family and I went to bed. I woke up the following morning and I dropped in front of my sister, in front of my disabled sister. I ended up in the hospital. Now listen to this. I forgot my mother tongue. I'm in the hospital in a ward with 3 other women, but only one has the button to call the nurse. I need to go to the washroom. I'm trying to tell this woman to call the nurse to take me to the washroom, but I'm telling her in English, and she's like, I don't understand what you want. I could
you
understand
her?
I could understand what she was telling me.
But she couldn't understand. You couldn't speak your language.
I couldn't speak my language.
So something was happening to the brain.
Of course. That was another recalibration of my brain. When I came out of it, I'm like, okay, there is something good in here. There is something good in here, because my arms, my hands, my whole body was fine. No side effects, except for my brain. So I go to the bathroom by myself and I fall. The nurse comes to get me and she says, don't do that again. I said, okay. Well, next time it was the same thing. So eventually, things worked out, and I got stronger and got out of the hospital and all of that. But when I got out, it's like I'm looking at whatever happened as something good happening, a good change coming my way. Basically, it's the way I've looked at this stroke. So
okay, so can I ask you, maybe we can kind of move into, in today's healing, recalibration is so necessary for so many people right at this point in time, especially of how the medical society is going right now. Honestly, from my point of view, I can't trust what they're saying. I just don't. There's something going on in the pharmaceutical side of it that just is not resonating with me at all. So I'm always gravitating towards the natural healing. What can we do naturally? I don't know. How do you feel about today's, conversation with the medical society versus natural?
It's not a blanket statement. There are a lot of younger doctors. Okay, the thing is to find one, but there are a lot of them that are open to at least listen to what you have to say, and to maybe even go
Work
out
together.
Work together. Well, first to research it a little bit on their own to see what you're talking about, and then coming back and saying, okay, well, I respect what you want, so let's work together. Exactly. But there are a lot, like I said, with I went to a doctor's, and there was something going on. This was last summer, and I'm like, I think this is from a shot, and they wouldn't listen. They would not listen. I was on meds for 7 days, didn't sleep for 7 days. That's how strong the meds were.
Are you talking about the shot?
Yes, yes. But again, yeah, I mean, I went to 3 different doctors. I was in Hamilton, so I went here to an emergency, and the guy says, this looks like a heat rash. And I'm like, we're freezing up in Muskoka. I'm living up in Muskoka, and we're freezing up there. My skin hasn't seen any hot air because there is no hot air up there. How can this be a heat rash? Okay. And the other one said, what did you eat? What did you touch? Because they're looking at allergic reaction, right? But I've got company coming from overseas, so I didn't want this because it was starting to spread to my face. So that's when I went, I said, okay, I got to see a doctor about this now, right? And what did you touch? What did you eat? And I'm like, nothing out of usual, nothing. Sure enough, later on, I went for allergy testing, and I'm not allergic to anything. So where did it come?
Reaction to something.
I had a reaction to something. I don't know what it is. I have my own ideas of what it was.
And how sure are you on a scale that that's what it was?
I am a 9.9999% sure that that's what it was. But again, like I said, they just don't know. No, and impossible. And I'm like, do you
I'm
have
not
studies?
sure that that's still happening though. I got to tell you, Barb, I think there's a lot of,
Okay.
I think there's a lot of medical professionals that are starting to kind of come around and looking at things that just don't make sense anymore. So
yeah, well,
but maybe like when you did it.
Yeah, the younger doctors are starting to be more open. And yeah, my husband just had an experience. So he was seeing an older doctor, and they got into a shouting match over what the doctor wanted to prescribe him. And he says, I don't have that. I don't want these meds. Well, that's all I can give you. Well, a year later, my husband ends up in emergency, has a surgery the same day he got there. This happened just 3-4 weeks ago. Okay, he goes for a checkup back to his doctors after the surgery, and he's seeing now a young man, and he's like, that doctor wanted to put me on these pills that I knew I should not be taking. And this young doctor apologized, and he said, I'm sorry that we misdiagnosed you. Okay, so younger kids, I'm seeing younger kids being born so much smarter than
and
we
intuitive.
Were. Exactly.
Like the kids that I see today who are looking at entities and energies that we can't see, but I know they're looking at something. So, and even I can't see it. I can see energy, but I can't see what they're looking at.
Right, exactly. And so they're the ones that I am counting on to change the world, to change the way we look at illness, the way we look at how we treat one another, the way they look at the medications that are all out there that are not natural. So yeah, I look for natural stuff. I look for stuff that has no carcinogenic substances in them, like cleaners. I make my own dishwashing soap. I make my own face scrub. You don't see any makeup on my face because makeup is chemicals.
For sure it is.
And I won't put it onto my face or my body. Yeah. Well, it's okay. If you want to do it, go ahead. I have no problem.
You can still pick natural choices and make it too. And if you can do end facial creams and stuff like that. And, you know, I use a product, and I have for years, a Cocoon Apothecary, all very natural, very not tested on animals, biodegradable, all of those things. Lovely product.
Yes.
So there's things that you can get, and I highly recommend that we should choose it. It's pretty amazing what's going on, and the awakening that we're all having when it comes to our health, when it comes to what we're ingesting in our body and how we feel. You know, it's really interesting. Barb, I would love for you to come back. Are you open to that?
Oh, of course, of course.
That's wonderful.
I will probably be in Muskoka, but that's okay.
That's okay.
In the greenery.
Now,
in the greenery.
If anybody wants to get a hold of you, can you give us a way for anybody who would like to contact you?
Yeah, I have a phone number, 289-441-6514.
Good. And I did put her email at the bottom in the descriptions.
Okay.
So you're more than welcome to email her as well. Heather,
Absolutely.
Is there anything that you would like to leave with?
Yes, and again, I just wanted to thank you, Barb, so much, because the session that you did with me was very, very helpful, and your energy that you gave off was incredible. So I really do highly recommend that people contact you for a recalibration energy healing, and thank you so much, Barb. You're such a beautiful, beautiful soul.
Thank you for having me. Lovely. It was lovely being here.
Good.
Yes.
Wonderful.
And actually, I'm going to read a card, if you don't mind, real quick.
You go for it. We got to do our card.
Sorry. Yes. So it says, being in the flow. I am in the flow of the universe. So how's that? And then the second card that jumped was taking action. I enthusiastically embrace life's boundless possibilities. So how's that? Isn't that something?
Wow.
On that note,
Yes.
what a great inspirational message. And don't forget, next week, we got a great lineup for you. I'm so excited. We're going to be talking about giants exposed. We're going to be talking to Danny. We're going to be talking to a tea leaf reader. I'm sorry, I forgot her name. Amy, right?
Yes, Amy Lou.
Yes, Amy Lou. And we're going to, of course, have Paul back on Thursday. So we have a great lineup next week, and we really hope that you join us.
So don't forget, subscribe and click on that bell so that you'll know when we are live. Right, Dana?
We are getting so good at this.
We are.
We are. It has been awesome.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.
Okay. See you,
Bye
Barb.
now.
Take care, hun.
Bye.
Bye.